ماشي.
هو ابونا ما نبهش كويس نبدا.
الوقت مش سيد أبونا.
Can we please stay in our places؟ ممكن تقعدوا في أماكنكم وأنا هاجي لكم. لو حبيتوا تقعدوا في أماكنكم عشان نقعد بس نسمع، لو حد عاوز يسمع، واللي عاوز يمشي أنا هاجي لكم في أماكنكم، وممكن نمشي من الجنب بس عشان الدوشة لو سمحت. Please, if we can stay quiet please, and I'll come to you in your places.
I would like to go with the current situation, if you please. Let me explain to you briefly what is our current situation is with the Sunday school before we start accepting any question, please. Currently, we have 5 classes up. We have 5 classes upstairs. We have 5 classes upstairs are being used by the middle school, high school, and the 5th grader. Downstairs here, we have 3 classes that are mainly used by the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grader. Down in the where the library is, the boring library, we have 3 classes as well down there, plus 2 classes in here, and 2 classes on the stage. Each one of these classes was designed earlier to accommodate about 10 to 15 kids. Currently, we have average of 25 to 30 kids in each class. Currently, we have about 25 to 30 kids in each classroom. So the capacity of the classrooms are not really helping us to accommodate our kids in each class of those. The other problem that we're having with the Sunday school, we have one class that is used now, the chapel for the Sunday school. Any gathering for each group is not done right now because simply we don't have the space to allow each group, which is about maybe 50 to 60 kids, to stay in one place. And I'm sure you all see the other issue that we have with the elementary, where they meet in the social hall every Sunday to eat before they go to their classes, because they cannot have any food or drink inside the chapel. So based on the number the classes that we're having right now, and the number of kids in each one of those classes, we have to move forward with some sort of solution. The solution we have right now is simply to build a new building to accommodate the need for the Sunday school classes. We're currently in need for 17 different rooms to accommodate our kids. This church, when it was designed simply to accommodate 400 people. 400 people. Currently, we are serving about 320 families in this church. So neither the church or the classroom can accommodate what we really have numbers-wise. So the college class right now, which was about 3 years ago, we had the attendance for that was about 12 kids attending the college class upstairs. Now we're using the new house that we bought 2 years ago for the college class, and now we have about 45 kids attending this class every Sunday, and we hardly can get them out of there every Sunday. So we have really used all our resources to accommodate the growing number of the kids in our church. The only solution that we can have now is simply start building a new Sunday school building to accommodate all the needs that we have, whether only the number or the capacity in each class, or the growing number of the congregation in the church, which is a blessing to have. Okay, so right now I explained to you what our current situation is, and we're ready for have any question. Please, just don't hesitate to ask. So Awad and I will answer any question if we can. Now I cannot hear you. Hold on. We can build this building here 2 to 3 stories if we need to. The new building. I have a plan for, yeah, we have 17 classes built for this building, plus just the classes. And then there are social halls, kind of a social hall in between, so it allows meeting for the whole group to meet. Now, one more thing I would like to add to the current situation too. As you all know, we have the middle school and the high school is one group. Okay, the high school, for example, it serves 9, 10, 11, and 12 grades. All those 4 grades in one group. And we all know, as parent, as servant, we all know that the age difference between the 9th grader, for example, and 12th grader does not allow the servant to really have an easy time, make the lessons appropriate for each group. So what is the plan to is separate these 2 groups into 2, like 9 and 10s in one class, 10 and 11 and 12 in one other class. So we again need more classes to accommodate not only the growing number, but the new plan for dividing the Sunday school classes.
This is the cost of the building because.
مريحة مش سامعين ولا مش سامعين؟
Okay, so when we say we're going to do fundraising for 500,000, this is the cost or raise 500,000.
No.
This is the cost of the thing.
No, this is not the cost. This is the down payment to start the whole thing. The cost is going to be about 1.5 million. About 1.5 to, it could be about 1.5 million. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think it might be, we haven't priced the building yet. It could be between 1.5 and 2 millions. And a lot of people ask, where are you going to get that money from? And this is a very good question that we always have that question every time we start a project. When we started, to give you a little history, when we started the chapel way back then, we were 25 families, didn't have anything, the income every month was barely enough to cover the expenses. We didn't have a priest, and we were borrowing a priest once every month on Saturday from another church. And it didn't make sense that we, as 25 families, to buy the land and to start building a church. And it doesn't make economic sense. Where are we going to get the money from? But we did build the land. We found the land, and the people on the board were very faithful, and they had good faith in God, and we bought the land, and sure enough, the land was paid in cash. We went to a bank to lend us some money to build a chapel, but no bank wanted to lend us because our history shows our income is very little compared, we can't pay the loan. So they said, just get the building permit and start building. We started to build a church, and the church was completed, and God provided enough money every month to cover our construction invoice. Barely covered nothing left over, but barely covered the construction invoice. How did we do that? I don't know. And when we got a priest, a resident priest, to stay with us, the income increased every month, so we were able to cover our expenses. So the church project doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it makes sense because God's hand is in the situation. We always have people who are not very optimistic at the beginning. These are good, honest people who really care about the church and they express their concerns. But again, every project we've done like that, we've never had enough money to build anything, and look where we are now.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
When we're saying 1.5 to 2 million, and Michelle was saying 1, 2, or 3 stories,
Yes.
does this is the total of the 3 stories? Are we going to do it in stages, the first story and then the second and then the third? or-
That's a very good question. I think the way to do it really is to do 3 stories because we don't have land anymore. So the land is very precious. Unless we buy Kurt's land next door, unless we do something drastic, the land is very precious. So it makes sense to go 3-story high. Do we have enough money to go 3-story? We might, but in worst case, we would build 2 stories and finish them out. And the 3rd story would be a shell, but at least build it now, and then you can always come back 2 years down the road when you recover from some of the payments, and you can finish the 3rd floor and use it. But at least it's there. But if I finish 2 stories only, then come to add another story, it will cost a whole lot more. But it doesn't add much to add a 3rd story. Any more questions?
No, I just want to comment on when you said I don't have an answer for this. I think the only answer when it comes to God's buildings and needs and everything, it's as if we're giving him the 2 fish and 5 loaves and he can make it enough for thousands.
Thank you. Every church project is like that. Some of you, I had the blessing of serving a number of churches as an architect, and believe me, all the churches didn't have any money to begin with, and all the churches were finished. Some churches in the East Coast were very, very, very young people coming, new immigrants working in minimum wage jobs, and it didn't look that good at all. But guess what? God gave them more than they ever dreamed of, and they have a beautiful church from the ground up, and they are so happy, and they make enough every month to cover the mortgage payment. Sometimes we wonder, Lord, why don't you give us enough money to pay for this in cash? Why don't you give us more every month so we have left over? But I don't know the answer to that question. God wants us to look up to him, and instead of trying to look down and figure out how are we going to pay for this building. When we had this church started, a lot of people were not happy with that project. We don't have enough cash every month. We're staying in the chapel. Why not stay there until we gather enough money to build this? Well, we went to the bank, and the bank gave us a loan. And when you look at the statistics, you're not making enough to pay for the loan. Even if you got a loan, you can pay it later on. Look at your income now in the chapel, barely cover. Some people went all the way to tell the board, if you build that building, I'm not coming to this church anymore. I'm going to Abanoop, or I'm going to Flopatir. I'm against that project. You will never be able to build it. And thank God we didn't listen to these people. Look at this beautiful building. And the income of the church increased by the amount of the loan. And when I look at the treasurer today, I say, how much is left over every month? He said, no, barely. We barely cover our expenses. So the hand of God is in the projects of the church. And we need to support the board, because a lot of time the board themselves don't have answers. So we need to support them with our prayers. We need to support them with our emotional support and pat their shoulder. These people are taking time from their family to spend serving God. Sunday school teachers, they're having all kind of fun with the children in Sunday school. We need to support these people. We need to lift them up in our prayer. We need to support them. We need to tell them they are doing a great job and build a building to help them out, raise good kids in the church.
And thank you for the introduction. Nobody is against collecting money and start the project even we don't have one. But the question is, what other solution that we looked at? We have more than one problem. One of them that you will explain this Sunday school building, and it is problem had exists for a long time. But we have other problems also. And when we need to start a project like that, we want to maximize on our gain. We are approaching capacity in this church and in the chapel. We have a parking lot problem. What other solution that we look at to address all our needs, including the Sunday school building?
I think, okay, I'm not sure when you ask that question, you're talking about that church particularly. God has a plan, and I cannot explain that. So basically, I'll tell you what. When we started Philopatier, a lot of people rejected that idea, and they said, why are you starting another church and you're going to split the congregation? Now Philopatier is a wonderful church serving people in their vicinity. Abenub started, a lot of people, again, had a lot of problems with that. It's too close to St. Mary. It's only 20 minutes away. It doesn't make sense, and we split the people. But God has a plan, and the plan was to start Abenub because you're going to have a flood of immigrants coming into this area. So we look back years after, and we thank the Lord for Abenub. We thank the Lord for Philopatier. It could be another church coming somewhere else. We don't know. It is not its time yet, but I can assure you, God has a plan for everything. What we're trying to do here for Sunday school is to fulfill an immediate need that is desperate. فيبي كانت بتخدم في مدارس الأحد زمان وكانت بترجع تعبانة جدا. الفصول وحشة مش كويسة والولاد متعبين وكده. They are struggling. Sunday school needs our help. And it's not a luxury. It's not something we need to do because we're going to have a beautiful church that's complete. No. We're desperate to have Sunday school classrooms لأن العيال دول إن ما كانوش قاعدين في classes محترمة they treat it like substitute teacher. They give them hard time because there is no respect in the classroom. They're sitting on the stage, for God's sake. You know, what else can I say? Okay, that's a good question. However, I'm going to give this to Michelle because, okay, go ahead.
All right. Let us assume that we're going to buy another church now or find another church now. The other thing is, on the long run, 5 years from today, do you think you're going to have the same problem here in Sunday school in St. Mary or not? The same thing happened at St. Philopatier, same thing happened in St. Abenub. St. Philopatier now is building, if you might know, they're building an extension to the church for a gym and for Sunday school classes as well, okay? And they're looking for another church, okay? Same thing happened with St. Abenub right now, overflow, and right now some of the congregation are going to move to St. Archangel Michael, the new church, okay? It's the same thing. So even if we decided to go to look for another church, I assure you that 5 or 10 years from today is going to have the same problem here in St. Mary. At that time, if we start looking at a building, okay, it will cost us a lot more than what is going to cost us right now.
Actually, we've had this problem for a long time. We used to have portables, I don't know if y'all remember, behind the car. We've always had limited space for our children, for myself when I was a child. And just remember, this is our children, okay? This is their children.
Yeah.
So this problem has existed since this church was built. It hasn't existed for the past 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. No, it's existed since this church has been
That was
built.
actually
There's
another
been always
option,
a plan,
Adel,
and it's
we looked
never
at.
been taken into
Another option we looked at, which is renting some portables classes that we put them in there by the gazebo, which was done very, very, like I would say 15, 20 years ago here in the church, okay? Practically, it didn't really help Sunday school at all because of the way they are set, just portable classes. But now look at the monthly cost of renting these classes as well. That's one thing. It's gonna really cost more than if we pay for mortgage on the loan. That's another thing. Third, which is more important on all of the above, is gonna take a lot of the parking space in the back, which is another problem that we're facing, which is, as everybody knows, it's a parking issue that we have in the church. A lot of cars, limited parking space. So expanding or building a Sunday school would be the proper option that we have And the only place we can put it in is in between the two churches because, again, we don't want to lose any more land, as Awad said. Yes, sir.
I have something to add to what Mr. Michel said.
Mr. Michel.
When we built this church, it was part of a master plan. The master plan has a Sunday school and administrative building on the front. So the Sunday school, it has to be done to accommodate the size of this church. If we would have just kept the chapel and only people attended to occupy the chapel, the Sunday school we have, it could have been efficient. But with this size church, you can't. You have to build the services to support the number of people attending the church. You cannot just say, we'll get another church. How about this church? How about this church is gonna always be full? Even if you get another church, this church will stay full. You see what I mean? So you have to build the services to support this church. Sure. There is a problem. Sure, sure. I have an answer for you. Building another church, first of all, where are you going to build it? Give me an example. Sure, tell me where you want to build the next church. Let me give you this.
If we look at the distribution بتاع الناس دلوقتي في النورث ويست region كده. There is a lot of people living right there from our congregation. والحتة دي is not currently covered by our church. It might be a good place to look.
I have an answer for you. We looked at Killer. Killer has about 50 families. And 50 families will not support the church. And people that are in Killer, a lot of them, if we looked at the demographics, they cannot afford the church there because of the number and because of the kind of work they do. They cannot afford the church. And we looked at Flower Mound. Yes. Okay, let's get another microphone. I'm trying to find it. Can find
Actually, one of us can stay here, we can use these two, and I'll get you another.
معلش I have objection about that because just Bashmahandis Hawad, he was saying we started the church with 25 families and none of them were really working like professional works or were rich.
Most of them were professional.
معلش but still 25 in the families and they afford the chapel or church. So I don't think 50 families will not afford the church because God's hand will be with them, like what happened here. So don't let's say that. Don't forget that. Why not?
Because there's land cost, it was 10,000 an acre when we bought this land.
But that was how many years ago?
50 to 60,000 an acre.
Don't forget that God's hand in every project.
Yeah,
Like
we don't want to
said.
get into numbers because, again, church projects don't make sense. I'm sorry to say don't make sense. Don't make sense in the economic sense. But God's hand has, the power to build a church where it's needed. I believe there will be a church somewhere in Fort Worth that would serve that area, and Keller and Flower Mound, yes. When? I don't know. Is stopping Sunday school building going to cause a new church to start? I don't think so, because it's time for Sunday school here, and that's why God, put us in this position to move forward with Sunday school building. Is that going to do away with the idea to have another church? Not at all. Not at all. When the time comes for the other church, it will happen, and God will provide for it. Flopetier is starting a project that's very big for gymnasium, fellowship hall, and Sunday school classrooms. And they are doing that at the same time looking seriously for real estate to get a church started in Frisco area. And they are looking at Frisco and other areas in Allen and all of those to see the colony. But there is no conflict between a church being flourishing and completing its building and starting up a new church. There is no conflict. I don't see a conflict. God has a plan for every project. In fact, I truly believe, after I served in many churches, that God had already made all the plan, and He planned everything totally complete before the project starts. But we cannot see it with our eyes, and that's why we always ask, why, Lord? Why? Why build that and not that? Why do this? Why not? But God has a plan. All we have to do is pray and claim the plan from the hand of God. It's a complete, and it's paid for, and it's arranged. He arranged even people to send money to cover certain expenses, pre-arranged already. All we have to do is claim it in faith. I believe there will be a church in Fort Worth. I truly believe that. The time will come, we'll serve Keller and all of those areas. Any other questions?
I need to answer Magda, because we're not finished with Magda yet.
Sure.
Magda was saying that with God's blessing, with 50 families, we still can build a church in Keller. Right, Magda? Okay. I want you to live with us the way we're thinking, because we're thinking like you. In the meeting, in the construction meeting, we think this way. We want to build another church, but we have obstacles, because 50 families will not support, even if we are given a church, we don't have to buy it. So, طب sure, and I'm working with you, I'm talking to you. Even if somebody give us a church, we don't have to buy it. 50 families will not pay the expense to support the church. Because it costs a lot of money, Magda, to operate a church.
I really respectfully, I may disagree with you, and I'm going to be very honest. We really cannot say how many families, what is the minimum number, how many professionals and how many blue-collar jobs to support a church. We really cannot say that, because God can send people to that church moved from out of state, and tomorrow you find more people coming in and flooding the church, and the church would have enough to support. We really don't know. But will 50 families support a church? Who am I to say yes or no? I'm sorry, Samir, I'm gonna just respectfully disagree with you, because I have seen the hand of God in many projects that really, really blew my mind away. So, is there a church coming somewhere in Fort Worth? Yes. When? I don't have an answer for that. But I knew that people were looking, and some realtors were looking, and there is a search for a building that they can buy, or a land that they can buy. And I was talking to Sayedna, if you have a priest ordained for that area, he will help get that project up and running quicker. And I was encouraging Sayed, of course, the priests are, difficult to find good servants to become priests. So, any other questions?
We probably need both of the projects go hand by hand.
Simultaneously?
Together, yes.
Sure.
And I just want to know how far did we go on the project so far? Did we already apply for a permit? Did we already make up final decision about what we're going to do here?
We have been meeting every Tuesday, the building committee, every Tuesday, and that's a lot for about 2 hours meetings.
The question in other different way, are we open to do or to do really some changes on what we
Absolutely. We're always open. We're always open.
Here is two options, because what I see here, as you said, if we have faith, we can do anything. And if we can do anything, if God will, we can buy a church and build the building, because we need the classes, we need the parking lot. There is no disagree about that. Everybody here suffering from the parking lot, whatever the case is right now, and the school, the Sunday schools, they suffering in their classes. So we need to do a lot of things here. So what I'm saying, you said a very good thing here. You said the land is precious, and we need the land. So why we didn't think about just modify the social hall to accommodate both projects, bigger social hall and the classes? This is one thing. The other thing, why we didn't think, instead of having the building in this area here, why we don't have it in this dead corner over there, and will be open to the playground over there?
These are really good questions, Edward, and I'm glad you asked this question. Let me answer them one at a time. I think you're asking about the fellowship hall, to remove it, to demolish it, and build a new building in its place, or what was exactly?
What I'm saying here, we have the hall. The condition of social hall is kind of a little bit bad right now. But we're going to need to do a lot of work over
Yeah.
there, spend a lot of money when we buy it, to accommodate what we need.
Yeah.
And use it for everything. We don't, right now, everybody going to taking shower or something small, you go outside. While we have a social hall, we can divide it to accommodate all these occasions here in the church. So if we can do that, if the project will cost $1.5 million, $2 million to build two-story building, and the third story is not finished yet. So why we don't just add that to the social hall and kind of use the same land, build a good building over there with half a million more or a million more maybe. But at the same time, we're going to have the social hall, new social hall, and we're going to have grass. It's possible if we study.
Okay, I think we studied the social hall to be 2-story high. You almost have to demolish it and start over again, because the columns are not designed to carry a second floor, and the height is not there. So yes, you have to demolish it and start over with a new building. That again, that is going to be a whole lot more. It's not $500,000 more or $1 million. It's a whole lot more to do. We are limited to 35 feet in height. So to do a good fellowship hall with a height doesn't leave you much room except 1 story above. Only 1 story for Sunday school, because you have to have a high fellowship hall. You cannot do 9-foot ceiling. Over here, we did 3 stories in this new building because of the height restriction. So that's 9-foot ceiling in every floor. For Sunday school classroom, that's acceptable. That's okay. 9 foot is plenty. we're not opposing to these good ideas. I would like to invite you to,
I'm not saying this is good or this is bad. I'm saying how to study this in a detailed way so we can make good judgment because sooner or later we're going to have to do something over there.
yes.
Spend a lot of money. And we'll have to clear up this part of the social law. If we need to just to replace that with the AC, we're going to, we have to do. We're going to have to get out from the wall over there.
Sure.
May I have a word? Edward, يعني we thought of the idea of tearing down the social hall, but what will we do while the social hall is not there? Can we do Sunday school? Would the people be able to congregate? What will we do? Because if we tear it down, there will be no kitchen, no urban, nothing. Yani many things will have to be taken away. So it will be a hard time maybe for 2 years or so. Are we capable of doing that? While we don't have classrooms for the kids? Yani, how can Sunday school be there? That's why we thought Sunday school comes before thinking of any other thing of tearing down this social hall. We need a Sunday school building. Then we can do whatever after that. But without the Sunday school classes, I cannot function as a church without a Sunday school. That's why we thought the Sunday school needs to come first. I can't stay 2 years without Sunday school classes. No, it takes.
Even 1 year, Edward, even it's 1 year. Even it's 1 year. Even it's 1 year. I don't know how long it takes from the engineering standpoint of view, it's not my area, but even it's 1 year to demolish and to start again and build it. We have 5 classes that they're using the social hall and the stage. Where I'm gonna put them?
The upstairs.
And upstairs. Yeah.
Discuss it as something we're going to do, or do you want to discuss it as something to study? There is a big difference. I'm asking you to study solution, different solution. I'm not giving you the solution.
Okay.
Solution, if you want me to say five classes, and I have a problem with that, I will tell you, okay, move it to the new house.
Okay, all right. Okay,
It's
I'll.
not a big deal to do a 5 classes, that's a problem.
Okay.
What I'm saying, I don't know what's the problem, and I don't know right now, answer me, you will never give me a right answer. What I'm saying, if you study this, how do you come up with a solution?
Edward, we're not 100% in concrete. We are in the planning phase, and that's why the classroom number and size increase from week to week. It is not too late to consider a drastic solution, and what you're saying might make sense. Come and join us in the building committee meeting. Throw your ideas. Let's discuss it together. Who knows? We're open. We're open. We're not, if there is another solution that would make sense to everybody in the meeting, we wouldn't mind at all reverting to that and starting planning. We're still in the design phase, in the planning phase. Let's put it that way. Ashraf.
I have something to add, and I just want to make sure this is clear. There is a master plan, and your idea to remodel / expand / redesign the social hall is in the plan. Your thought is not off track. Your thought is on track, but so we did study it. We studied it at least in no less than 10 meetings. We studied it from a cost perspective. We studied it from a usability perspective. We studied it from final result, what will it be? The area we're in, and I'm gonna try to summarize some points, then kind of welcome you to what Howard said. Your point is very valid because that area is very good for keeping Sunday school. It's a nice area. I mean, this area. Social, gym, Sunday school, it's a good area. The only thing that stopped us is 2 things. And again, we welcome you to come and have a meeting, not generically, but to just about this topic alone. But the 3 points that stopped us are the following. Number one, the feasibility of functioning while we do it. That was number one. Number two, how big can the project be? The idea of a second floor on the social hall came up. The idea of building something on top of the small building came up. The idea of even demolishing the very low ceiling buildings came up. All three came up. At the end of the day, it never came to fruition because it's not, first of all, we could not do it from usability, and number two, the cost was prohibitive to what we get at the end and the efficiency of the building, and number three, the connecting this church to that church and building something in between that you can use at administration or Sunday school was still a need, and the final result did not address 17. But I feel if it's needed, we can discuss it. But by no means I'm going to say your thought is not on. However, after all the thoughts, this was best. Maybe there's something else you can shed a light when we do. But again, it's going to be very hard for us, for you to make your point and for me to give you all the answers we need, other than we should do what Awad said, which is meet for that meeting alone. So the answer is we did. We did. We are sure. We did, and if we did. We did.
لا لا أنا عايزك تيجي عارف ليه؟ I want you to come and attend because you will see that we studied all of that and we brainstormed all of that. Not only our group, we had Hanfield architects who designed this church and did the documents for it, do the master plan with us, because a lot of people were saying, why don't you build back there in the trees and not in the front? And so we had even a second opinion all from outside. So it's not only, we thought outside the box. So all the thoughts that you're bringing up, we already been through it. I want you to attend so we can explain to you the process, the pros and cons for each solution, and you yourself would be convinced, yes, that is the... Sure. It's a good question.
I'm sorry, can I please say something really quickly and just give me just a couple of minutes, hear me out, please. I have been doing something for the past month. I have been helping to open people's eyes to see a problem, to see a big problem that we have. And I want to share what I'm doing because I really hope that we all can do the same as well. We have 350 families in this church, and we are bringing in $35,000 a month income. On average, I think, $35,000 a month. The $35,000 a month covers this mortgage and covers utilities, electricity, water for both churches. We're barely getting by with that $35,000, barely getting by every month. Now, if you divide that out over 350 families, that means each family is giving $100 a month. That means each family is making $12,000 a year, and I know that's not the case. I think that if we share this information with everybody else, and I know we've been doing presentations and we've been putting things up on the screen, showing numbers and everything, but for the past month, I've been sharing with so many people, and they're shocked. I had no idea. I was giving a little bit to your church and a little bit to another church, and every time I get a letter in the mail and I'm giving money to everybody and my 10% is being distributed among a bunch of people. And I'm telling them, no, our church needs that 10%. We need it. We are barely making it every month. Each family is only making $12,000 a year? I don't think so. I want to share this with everybody in the church. Please give your 10% to this church. And if you did give this 10% to this church, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. There would be no need for a meeting. That building would have been built last year, or I don't know how many years ago. We would be done. So all I'm trying to say, share this information. Let the people know we are barely bringing in $35,000 a month, and we're barely making it, barely sliding by every month. The people need to know that we need your 10%. We desperately need your 10%. If not even 10%, give $50, give $100, but give regularly. And you'll be amazed if each family gave $50. What is that? That's what, $20,000 extra in a month. Right? Yes. That's why I'm telling you, when you go after church to sit down in the hall while you're eating your sandwiches, share with the people.
I think you're right. We're not doing good enough.
The question you have to engage for congregation. We are making about a decision that was made, not to discuss to make. That's the problem. That's why you have the disengagement. People feel.
Okay, you need to give us some advice. How can we improve communication so people know what we're doing? We can go to the social hall and open the plans. What do you think, Samir? Not today. But we can plan on going to where they sit.
If somebody interested, he needs to ask. You cannot just go while people eating and put plans.
I'm storming the idea.
These are the people that are interested to talk about.
Excuse me, Samir, hold on.
Edward,
Samir.
real quick.
Let me
The reason for the meeting that we're having today is to inform the people. And if the people aren't willing to stay, and if they have misconceptions in their mind, going and doing it in the social hall won't work because they're. But Edward, we are sharing more. We are sharing more.
Yeah, but what are we sharing? We're sharing a decision, or we are opening discussion? That's the difference. You are getting.
No, we're opening. This is obviously
discussion.
an open discussion.
That's an open discussion.
Well, when we.
Many years ago, not now.
Many years ago, we cannot discuss this.
And that's why, Bashwandis, you have this, what Amina is saying. When you come and say, this is the plan, we can discuss it, we can put everything on the table. We're not saying put everything, say, this is solution one, here is the benefits and the drawbacks of it. Here's solution two, here's solution three. We did our homework, let's do a vote. Then you would get people engaged. Then you would get people donate. But when we come say, this is the master plan, this is the benefit, this is our need. You did a great job explaining the need for the problem. But we didn't do such a good job in explaining the alternatives and the drawbacks of it. We most probably come to the same conclusion that all of you came to. But not sharing this discussion make people say, okay, maybe I know about a relative who is in really need. Maybe I know about another church who I know about their plan and they really need. But we don't know that much about what we really need here because we share a master plan and a decision instead of solutions to decide on as a congregation.
Solution for what? I just want to know what is the problem that we try to find a solution.
We have a Sunday school problem.
So the
Mhm.
Sunday school classes are for the Sunday school problem,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Problem number two.
The parking lot.
Okay, there isn't, can I answer this one by one? There is a plan to build more parking spaces in the back. At the same time, the Sunday school building is built. So that's number two problem is solved. Number three,
The approaching capacity in both churches.
what do you?
Well, capacity.
We need another church.
Oh,
So what I'm saying,
sure, so this is problem number three, is we need another church. Why?
because
What?
it will solve you the two others as well. It will not. For a time being. So if, for example, let's make an assumption we found like what happened 4-6 years ago when we find East Avenue for 1.2 million. Let's say, assume that you find a church now, and 25% or 30% or 40% start going there. Within that, relieve your parking. Within that, relieve your Sunday school. For a while.
So you think we don't, I just want to ask you a question. You don't think we should build the Sunday school? I'm just asking. We should just put this on hold until we find another church?
Not by any means.
So what's your solution?
No, what I'm saying is
We're open for another
the
church.
poor of
by
the
way.
the poor
If you find another church, well, the Abuna will look at it. Sayyidina will look at it. If we find
the core of the problem is not the Sunday school, not the parking, not the capacity. The core of the problem is what Nina just mentioned.
Funding.
We are limiting on our funding. And the approach I'm trying to explain is not to make a different decision than the master plan. The approach is we're trying to explain is to get people engaged so we solve the core problem instead of the collateral damage.
how you get to it.
Get them engaged by telling them, even that you know that, for example, the solution that, or the suggestion that Edward was saying, put those solutions in there and tell them, we studied this, Abuna is bringing a dead end to it. Make perfect sense. Where I'm gonna put my congregation for a year, then solution is out of the question. Another solution, buying a new church. We looked, here is the options available, here is the cost, here is the timeline. Those are the restrictions, parking lot, so on, so on, so on. At the end of this discussion, make a vote. There is a proposal. And no, those votes are not decision made. They're just suggestion from the congregation to get them to be engaged in your plan. When you do that, people will come and say, okay, I have been part of this discussion. I know why we're not buying a church now. I know why we're not addressing this now. Instead of leaving them there, say, we discussed this, we did our homework, we're done. Here is the master plan. That's the only, we just engage the people with you in this discussion, so you solve the core problem.
Do you wanna, there's another, there's a question in the back. There's a question in the back.
Do you forget by now?
I'll go back to Adil in a minute, بس after I went over.
هو it was some one thing, but like it led to one more and one more. First of all, Abuna just absolved me. I read about 2 months ago a story about Abuna Bshoy Kamel. Of course, everybody knows he's a saint in heaven. And it was by sometime in the 60s, a lady came to his church, went to his church and told him, here is 50 pounds. I want you to build a church. He took it and he was thinking, what is she thinking about? About 3 months later, a contractor came to him and told him, I've made so much money, whatever the story is, and I need to build a church, my donation, everything, I will pay for it. Only thing I need some material, something specific, and he told him specifically what will cost you is 50 pounds. Make the story short, he built the church. The church is built. Respond to the lady was saying, نحن بنسيب كل حاجة ربنا. Leave it to God's hand. Not arguing with Samir is wrong or anything. It is right that we do our human mathematics, but leave it to God's hand. سامحني أبونا. The other thing is like I received in the mail the pink envelope, very nice pink envelope about the new project, the Love Project for the Sunday School. Now, Mina's point is very valid to make it viewable to everybody that this is exactly the numbers and there is something needs to be done. Samir, you said that everybody, if he's really interested, he should be here. I agree with you 100%, but not everybody thinks this way. Most people think like, oh, I didn't know. Well, I didn't ask. I'm shy about it. I know the responsible people, so that's why I stay away from it. 100% you're right, but in the meantime, not everybody would like to know how can we help, but they don't ask. So my thing is like, wanted to know if Mina's point, is it possible that we put it in writing with the letters that are sent to people, or in the hallway, here are the numbers. You know, there's no way 12,000 per year is the income, just to make people think differently. Thank you.
We can think about that. Yeah, it's not an easy answer because there is a lot of noise over there. So if we make a presentation there, we may not. I think we might do smaller groups and bring it here and talk to them like we are today. Maybe next time we should bring other groups and open up the discussion and have, because a lot of people didn't attend today because they're out of town and things like that. We have to work hard on getting our points across and communicating better with the congregation. I agree.
You see commercials for one product everywhere where you go. For example, Pepsi-Cola. You walk in, one here, one here, one here. If we can make a poster here, poster here, people will think it.
Sure.
I think people will think it. Thank you.
لو في حاجة عندكم أو في حد عنده حاجة
I'd like to say two things, please. I would love to extend an invitation to anybody who is interested. Just please, during Sunday school, knock at any class that you would like to see, and just go and look at how the kids are sitting or how the kids are being dealt with in the class. Spend with them 5 minutes, and you understand how difficult it is for them, okay, to really gain anything from the Sunday school servant when they try to teach them something. It is really very difficult, very, very difficult. The other thing, I'd like to share a story that happened here in the diocese a few months ago with Sayyid Al-Anba Yusuf himself. He was praying in one church, and at that day they were in need for $900,000 to buy or to do some stuff in the church. I'm not sure what it was. At the end, somebody walked to him and he said, here's a check for $900,000. So back again to everybody who's saying, God has way to provide regardless of what. And the other thing is, based on the fact that Edward and Ahmad were talking about, and Samir too, is simply that we need to communicate, and I communicate more with the congregation what our needs are and what our responsibility toward our kids are. So I would extend another invitation for everybody attending today is to share this information with everybody. Let us do what the disciple did. Spread the word. If they have any issues with what we're talking about today, please go to a resource, Abuna, any board member, any one of the engineering committee members, any committee that's in the church, and ask for clarification of what we're dealing with. And let us use ourselves now as a foundation of this project as well. Just talk to people, spread the word, tell them what our needs are. And again, everybody now in this group right now knows what we're dealing with. So please help us to do that. Communicate effectively, communicate more, and be more of a discipleship to spread the word to get what we need to. And let us all pray, and God use this fast and our prayers in order to really clear our plan and make it very obvious for everybody whether we are on the right track or not. Because I believe personally that if we are not, there will be a full stop, and nothing is going to go further than that. So again, one more time, please go to Sunday school and look how miserable our kids are. Thank you.
there is no more discussion points, we can conclude. Okay. I just want to let you know, maybe as you all mentioned, that the communication is the most important thing that we need to do with the congregation so that they would get engaged and support. Maybe this is the point that I get from today, but I have faith that the people who are in the building committee or engineering committees or construction committees or the board, all these servants are representatives of the whole congregation. They do their best to get whatever they can of ideas or answers or whatever. They discuss the things, as Ashraf was saying, many times, and they try their best to get the best solutions, and everybody is thinking. But maybe you can also, the congregation might have other ideas that we need to listen to, and we need to communicate our ideas with their ideas and tell them we came to this conclusion because of so and so and so and so. Maybe this is what we need to tell them more. Ashraf.
Can I just, I'm going to say one thing, and I think what Michelle closed with is really good. I really have a question to just generically, Adil or anybody who is here. We need your help in 3 things, and please help me. Number 1, I need your best way. I mean, we do have like a 2-pager, frequently asked questions. There is 10 to 15 questions we hear constantly. What about the new church? What about this? Why did we buy a house? Why did we do this? We heard all those. We have them written down. We can post them somewhere. My only concern, and I can post them today. I can give them to you. My only concern is I don't want to put something out. It causes more problems. That's my first point, is if you can help me with what to do to communicate. Number 2, I am sure, Adil, you're not alone. There's probably 10 like you who have concerns or have questions and want to make sure they're answered. What is your best suggestions to us, besides the Sunday, to have the dialogue? Because the word answer your question means like we have the answer. We don't. Yes. How to? Okay. Sure. So sharing is one idea you're saying. Post or broadcast. Got it. Okay. So your thought in general is to make more things available. Got it. Any other suggestions? I got you. It's a good thing. Okay. Good. Sure. I agree.
Those meetings will probably have 60 to 80% waste because you already looked at this. You already looked at that. But they need to be,
I hear you.
instead of milling about, those are the available solutions. We have others. And maybe we give you something that doesn't make sense at all. But we have to.
That's okay. I hear
This loss
is a lot of benefit. I got you. We got you.
So there is no disagreement. We had a huge problem. It ever exists. It will always exist in some areas. No doubt about it.
Got it.
But take the feedback. You will have your support.
Any other suggestions? Yes. I've heard it twice. So we heard 2 things. I just want to make sure we're going to take it as a group. Communicate and be transparent. and possibly have a meeting. And we've attempted to do this on Sundays. No, it's okay. So those are the two things we're going to take back: is be open, communicate, and have a meeting. Even you, like you said, and you acknowledge it could be 60-70% waste. It's not a waste, like you said. But the buy-in is more valuable. Nina's message about the contribution is very valuable. Everyone. So we heard you. We Edward, I hear you, but here's one thing we are challenged with, and I'm gonna tell you the reason you only have that many. I hear you. Just the reason there is very few people here. I'm going to give you a reason. There was a person you said on the way out, you told them, why don't you stick around and let's talk? Let me tell you, the way this is logistical problem, after church on Sunday, people are hungry, want coffee, want whatever. The few extremely diligent and want an answer stay. We do not have a town hall on Tuesday night to talk, where people come and talk. So this becomes the median, and very few people tend to want to stay. So I hear you, we need to come up with a plan. We do have a Facebook for the project, and we're going to post those questions on it. That is the plan once we review it with the group, and we'll post this. It is phase 2. We will do that. We will do that. And again, we did not go to the city. Hopefully I came a little bit late. We need your support. If we don't have the congregation support, 5 people cannot function. I don't care who we are. We're not going to function. We need everybody as a team. Like Mina said, if we are not one body with heart and brain and everything beats together, we're not going to get anywhere. Not for me. Not for anybody.
So can we stopped? I know Inclusive did that before, Mina did it. Can we start again at least 2 minutes, 3 minutes after each liturgy? No, forget about the project for a second. Update about the financial situation. Here's my expenses. Here's my cost. Here's what we made even.
I've been doing it. That's not very regular.
If I feel, I would love to see us do the financial update and a project, not a project as a project, where we are with things on anything we do. I feel if we have a regular 5 minutes after every Udas, State of the Union, what are we doing every week, and that's a regular, permanent, forever, that would to me is a positive. Because most of us are not in the board or building, and we'd like to know. We don't want to be ignorant. I think this is going to be one of our next meetings, is honestly a better plan. I went to Washington, D.C.'s church, and I thought it was one of the best communicating church. They had everything I saw as an outsider, from financials to plan to ideas to service. We tend to want to talk about service. Middle school did this, high school did the strip, and that's it. We need to have, like at home, financially, what are we doing? Spiritually, what we're doing? Number of people, we welcome this. I agree with you. We need to have that plan.
Let's pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. We thank you, Father, that you brought us to this hour. Please, God, help us and guide us to do what is pleasing to you and to communicate it right way to the whole congregation, so that we will support one another as the one body of Christ through the intercessions of the Theotokos, Saint Mary, all the angels, apostles, and the martyrs, and the saints. Lord, make us worthy to pray thankfully, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven,